All right, what is going on this week? Well,
John Riccatello
not
is out.
tell you what. Yeah, layoffs and lawsuits appears to be the entirety of the events of the week, and we can
Video
start.
games, fuck that. Get fired.
And starting with the breakingest news, yeah, John Riccitello stepping down as CEO and president of Unity. That just happened right now. Not much other details besides that. It's of course, you know, important to remember that there's a board of assholes behind him that
Wooly,
are still there.
I was really upset about the Unity changes and how they tried to fuck over everybody. But then they walked those changes back, and the person who was 100% responsible for every single part of those changes, John Riccatello, is now gone. So I can go back to trusting Unity. Oh, thank goodness. Now the only person responsible, the CEO, is gone. So everything is back to being normal. And I don't have to worry about taking my game off Unity anymore.
The Fire Lord was defeated. There are no longer any problems left to solve.
Someone in that company thinks the scenario I just described is reality.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, that someone's is Tomer Barziv and Shlomo Dorvat or Dovrat.
I didn't think you were going to have names ready.
Those are the someones you're talking about.
Oh, man.
So, you know, more as it develops. But hey, you fucking annihilated all goodwill and trust within 24 hours, and then the walk back has been just even though people at the end of the day kind of land somewhere where your planned outrage expected them to, doesn't matter.
Hey, man. I'm excited to welcome John Riccatello as the new whatever the fuck it's Sony that guy just left.
Oh fuck, he's gonna replace Ryan. Yeah. Oh boy, Gorilla walks in the door, slaps down the resume, just takes the seat, still warm.
I used to run EA till they fired me. Then I ran Zynga till they fired me. Then I ran Unity till they fired me.
You're hired. Get out in here.
Dude, I have some friends that worked under Zynga during the Riccatello era, and they could just yell for hours.
Yeah.
You know what? Somebody's experience is so negative that you're like, well, what was it like? And you don't get any information because they're too angry to tell you. It's all emotional, and it's just like, whoa, this is my every day, this motherfucker.
Sounds, yeah. That's, I mean, again, the worst days and the worst moments of QA where people just snapped, kind of just turned into that, for sure. Cool. That's
I'm thinking of Don Matrick and Zynga. My mistake. My mistake. Oh, Don Matrick also sucks, though. So you know what? There's plenty of blame to go around. That's fine.
Okay. Yeah. I would love to see. At the very least, it would be fun to see the brainstorming session that John Riccatello at Sony would have it in one meeting. You know, like, we've got a new handheld device that can't be used really as a handheld device. What if you could play games on it separate from the console, but they had to be NFTs?
So you know what my favorite part about that PlayStation Vita Wii U gamepad pile of shit is that I and you and everybody who looked at that went, that's the most worthless pile of shit ever, failed to account for people outside of ourselves. That thing has actually sold incredibly well despite not being out because we forgot about something. And that's that Sony sells video game shit to Japan, which has internet that makes that thing totally feasible and works really well because the Wi-Fi speeds in Japan are incredible.
So it's
that thing has sold out in Japan.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow. How about that? Okay.
Yeah, smaller living spaces and better internet make that thing work way better.
On pre-order, at the very least, I guess? Yeah. Okay. Well, that still doesn't necessarily say anything about the battery life, how it's going to run, or any of that shit that was
but
announced
the core
about the specs
conceit of
about
this
it.
thing won't even work.
But the utility of it for a small Japanese space is proving to be popular. Interesting. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. We'll see. Is it all scalpers? We'll see.
I don't think anything can always be all scalpers.
If it's sold out entire, well, I mean, the fucking video cards were. Like, the video, like, you were not talking to a human being at any point that had one of those. Like, yeah. Well, anyway. Interesting counterpoint for that situation. Much like all of our fucking rollback woes and everything else. It's like, yeah, when you're in a situation where the internet actually does what it's supposed to nationwide, you can offer different things, but what use is that going to serve over here remains to be seen. I still don't fucking I can't imagine with garbage internet across.
I'm still kind of mad about Street Pass. Would you believe that? Like,
what? Why is the word Street Pass being uttered in 2023?
Because that was a feature that was made exclusively for a region of the world that didn't really apply elsewhere, right? Because they would describe, hey man, you can use Street Pass. You'll take it to school, and then you'll come home and you'll have like 30 Street Passes on your thing. And I'm like, no. That is not how that's going to happen at all.
Street Pass is for one thing and one thing only in North America, and that's going to a convention.
Yeah,
that's literally it.
Do you remember when people hacked it and were making like pirate radio Street Pass in order to get shit in certain games?
Were they?
They figured out how to like broadcast the Street Pass signal in their own home equipment.
That's crazy. I did not hear about that.
That was wild.
Tournaments and cons are the environment for Street Pass. That's pretty much it. Okay. Anyway. So, yes, the first of the layoffs, John Riccitello, or Riccitello.
You know what? It's fine.
Johnny R.
That makes me think of something else. All right. Hey.
Yeah. So then there was another story. It's like, okay, well, lawsuits and layoffs. The entire team that was working on the QA for Dragon Age Dreadwolf that unionized and were Canada's first union team on that we talked about, I want to say maybe a year or two ago. They've all been laid off.
Oh, yeah. Ooh. You know how BioWare keeps coming out and going, guys, we promise the next game that we're making, definitely coming out. We promise. And then every single thing you hear about their projects is, hey, we fired more people.
So the details on this in particular are the QA team was actually outsourced from Keywords, which is a name that I recognize because they bought out the QA company I used to test for.
Oh, did they?
Yes. And so once I see that, I'm like, okay. Oh, yeah, they cleansed. They came through with an absolute butcher knife and just like decapitated entire fucking departments, no question. They used to do that seasonally, but yeah, in this case, that was everyone that was on the unionized team, amongst more as well. So I think it was a team of like 16, but 50 total were all let go. And second detail with that one in particular was a number of them were kind of given some kind of like hurried shitty severance packages. Which then everyone kind of compared notes afterwards and went, this is bullshit.
Yeah, it's a bunch of bullshit, I bet.
So a number of former BioWare employees are suing for adequate severance.
Good.
In many cases, so the lawyer that's representing the group of employees more or less was saying that like everyone that was let go like had to consider their short term, and so they just took the low end offer because
Hey, I just lost my job out of nowhere. I need to make fucking rent.
Exactly. So if you don't have time or energy to, sue or figure out a decent solution because you're in a desperate situation, that's what's going to happen. And that happened to a whole group of them. So they all kind of realized that they got fucked afterwards and are now trying to come after that to pursue legal rights. Yeah. And then it also goes on to specify that in Alberta, a number of recently laid off employees were awarded at least a month of severance per year of service, with
that seems appropriate.
Included. And that amount is way, way more than BioWare offered the people in question. So, yeah, they're gonna hit up the lawsuits and figure out what's going on there.
So there's a sentiment that's happening. A couple people have mentioned it in chat, but I feel like the need to mention it because of the way BioWare has like culturally developed their games. Baldur's Gate 3 is like inexorably tied with BioWare. Like BioWare made Baldur's Gate, right? And Larian Studios is a faraway studio in Belgium that is a totally different context. But like, how did Larian develop their game over a really long time, over minimal crunch, according to them, and early access with tons of feedback, right? BioWare, for the past decade, 20 years, has been functioning on like increasing super crunch and BioWare magic, and just like dumping games and not paying attention to them. I remember a while ago, like a year ago, I remember mentioning it. Like I would not be surprised if a BioWare game never ever came out ever again. Okay. And I look at specifically BG3 and what I know of the way BioWare studios work internally and how they redo things and throw things away and start over, that looking at this game, the one that we're both playing, could have a disincentive to continue along Dragon Age's current path, but they're too far along to give up. I don't know. It's a whole... Like, I would love to talk to somebody who works there, how they feel about how Dreadwolf is coming along, which they've been talking about for years and years and years and years and years.
If they're doing something that kind of resembles what Dragon Age always was, and then a Baldur's Gate 3 experience shows you what the evolution of that natural genre should look like.
Well, it's like
halfway through
Dragon Age, that first Dragon Age game is absolutely like a stepping stone in between like the old Baldur's Gate games and the new one. Mm-hmm. And that's when they EA'd and were like, we have to make it harder, faster, better shooter. Like, I mean, you play through the microcosm of that company shooter. From Mass Effect 1 to 2 to 3, right?
Right. And KOTOR's with the way they handled that.
Yeah, and then you look at like, well, this is the game you guys would have been able to make. Like, there's no reason that Baldur's Gate 3 couldn't have come out from BioWare back in, like, the 360 era. Like, there's nothing so outrageous about that game's design and its writing that company couldn't have made it with the people it still had at the time before they left or got fired.
Perhaps the scale? I feel like the scale would not have been achievable.
No, here's the thing. If they had allowed themselves the time to make it, instead of restarting development over and over or forcibly being limited to 18 months, yeah, I bet they could have.
I'll counterpoint though. Like, they're also benefiting from an early access structure which didn't exist at the time.
Yeah, which apparently is a great idea for this genre. It works really well
when you get a lot of people hands-on early enough to see what people are doing with it and so on. Yeah, Xbox 360 and beyond era were like just closed development. Here's what you get, done and done. So, yeah, I think that did a lot for them as well as the early access.
Like, I am absolutely certain that Mass Effect will come out, but like I have not heard anything about Dreadwolf other than staff problems or redone development or delays. Like, I don't think they've officially even released a fucking single screenshot of the game.
And again, though, we're talking about like a third version of BioWare. Like
Well, now it's one BioWare
it's
where
the
all the studios work together or some shit.
but it's the ship of double Theseus. It's like it's when it's when all
Yeah.
the replacement planks have been replaced. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so that's happening with all those layoffs. That rolls right around and continues as well into Telltale, who also let go a bunch of employees, and basically were like saying that Wolf Among Us 2 is still being worked on. It's not canceled or anything, but due to marketing conditions, they let go a bunch of their staff, and so
It will not be canceled for at least another 70 days.
well, whatever the case may be, based on the news from a week or two ago, The Wolf Among Us 2 can absolutely come out. It just might be made by a bunch of fans who then legally have the rights to publish it because Fables is now publicly owned.
I think that like discovering the nature that the Quarter has in regards to every single thing I care about in terms of media might have been like the most disastrous piece of forbidden knowledge ever. Why the fuck are all these games coming out? Oh, it's only the last week of March. Like, oh, yeah. That's weird. Why this game came out all fucked up on March 29th?
Quarters, bro.
Oh.
Gotta learn what Q2 means. Yeah, Telltale. And then, of course, CD Projekt Red.
Oh, this is great.
Right? After multiple rounds of layoffs in 3 months, the devs have unionized.
And all the crunch resulting from Witcher 2 onwards. That came out of nowhere, which is the best way to unionize. Well, there was not one inkling or word on the street or nothing. It was just like CD Projekt unionized.
Yeah. Now, I don't know what the Polish union recognition laws are, but assuming that it's similar to the ones we're familiar with, where it's just like, do a majority of the employees want to do it? It's happening.
Right? I bet unions are pretty strong in countries that used to be part of the former Soviet bloc.
You think so?
I bet.
Yeah. You think there's a perhaps a propensity for the concept of a worker co-op to...
Yeah, I do.
Interesting.
I think there might be some cultural fucking cachet behind that idea. Definitely more than the U.S. anyway.
It's like, okay, so when an employee walks in to the office with a hammer and a sickle in hand...
Oh, I see what you're doing.
The moment they strike the two together is the official moment that the union is officially on.
By the way, if you're Polish, feel free to write in to let us know about the realities of this, because I'm actually pretty interested.
No, yeah, we talk about what's happening with Canada and North America a bunch, but definitely not familiar with how it's going.
Do you know Europe has like more than 5 countries in it?
The fuck you talking about?
It does.
What do you? Come on. Yeah. You got the 5 languages. You got eFigs.
Yeah, you got eFigs.
eFigs.
Right there.
What are we talking about?
That's the only one. I feel like my joke might have been too inside for most of the audience. So in video games, you test for something called eFigs, which is English, French, Italian, German, and Spanish.
That's it.
So for video games, there are really only 5 countries in Europe.
Yeah. One time we got a project in that said eFigs DPPI, and it was like, what the fuck is this gibberish? Delete that email. That's crazy. What are you looking for? What? Iberian Spanish? What are you... Please.
You know, I maybe you get a kick out of it more than I do because you've done a lot of tests and I've done literally none. But when I load up a game and I hit the language menu, and not only do I see efigs, I see both forms of Chinese, I see Japanese, I see Korean, I see Polish, and I see Brazilian Portuguese. I'm like, wow, somebody here gives a shit.
Yep. The full acronym is quite a few more letters. Also, it was wild because depending on the company that had the budget for it, like a Pixar game, you would get like, I remember it wasn't just different versions, it was different actual discs. So we would get the same game, and like each version had a different SKU for its own language. It was wild. It was like Cars or something, unheard of. But yeah, no. The world is made up of efigs. That's it.
You live in an efigs world, everybody. I'm sorry.
Pick a flag. My flag's not there. Pick a fucking flag. All right. Yeah. So no, they unionized after rounds of layoffs, and
for them, that company has crunched them in a fucking dirt for like 12 years now, and fired a bunch of them. I'd be fucking mad as fuck after the way Cyberpunk came out, after the fucking studio heads were like, no, it's fine.
Yeah, it seems most of the people in question are from the Sirius team.
Okay, that'd be the Witcher 1?
The project, the Witcher project, codename Sirius.
I bet those people don't want to go through another Witcher development cycle. Have you seen the photos of what like the CEO of that company looks like in Witcher 1's dev diaries and what he looks like now?
I've heard, yeah.
Fully melts into Doc Brown.
Can you just like, it's like, dude is just thinking about the days when we can go back to cracking games and putting out a fucking text with some ASCII art, and the hardest decision to make was what's the cool chiptunes song we're gonna play when you open up the crack.
What? No, dude. No, that's not. It's way crazier than that. They're like, oh, I want to go back to the days in which we were broadcasting video games over the local radio.
Oh my god!
For people to pirate over the airwaves.
Oh my god! Fuck, on your audio cassette medium.
Yeah. I feel
yeah.
stupid because I can't remember what fucking was it the Magnavox Odyssey?
MSX could load save files from an audio cassette.
Yeah, so what you would do is you could use a goddamn cassette tape
to play
as a disc drive. And you could just broadcast a whole fucking video game as a fucking piece of music. And you just tape it on your tape deck and then put it in your fucking thing and it would work.
Yes, the stuff. Everyone who's going, that's disco. Disco like is basing that on real life. That exists. Satellaview at home. Yeah, you absolutely had audio cassettes used for more than just listening. Fucking crazy. I mean, at the end of the
stop this piracy, bitches! Like, come on.
In theory, if you got like a large enough device to read it, you could take a God, what's it called? When you spin the wheel and then it plays like a little theme, a little tune, and it's like a metal sphere, a metal cylinder with the notes on it.
Oh, fucking music box.
A music box, yeah, but there's a name for the actual thing. Anyway,
the
mechanical aspect of it, precisely.
The mechanism. Why am I Frenching on this one word? Mechanism.
In theory, you could use that to transmit data because it's just it's points of information that So that's fucking crazy. Anyway, CD Projekt as well, and then of course layoffs and lawsuits would not be complete without some good old sexual harassment and assault. So 5 former Ubisoft employees, the ones that were fired in 2020 when that big ass investigation went down, basically they're just following up, and they are now being charged in France officially with 50 former and current employees testimonies collected to put them through the legal system and not just the video game system. You know,
I'm astonished that any of these people were arrested.
Well, that's usually the bit is like, hey, a bunch of assholes were found out in the corporate structure, and the punishment is they're fired. All right, moving on.
And then in some cases, rehired by the same company at different studios.
Or, you know, if they're trying to lay low, they'll do the hitman head bob with the hat on and switch.
Hey, you know what you get to go work on? That fucking pirate game that'll never come out.
Sure,
Off to Singapore with you.
Sure, yeah, if you want to. Or but you can switch industries entirely, whatever, at the end of the case. But yeah, no. In this particular instance, it seems like there's actual legal action being followed up afterwards. So
that's wild.
Yeah, that's what's happening there.
Hey, I have a piece of news that didn't go through. You know how Epic's buying up a ton of shit all over the place, and everyone's like, "This sucks." Do you know they bought Bandcamp?
Oh, didn't they buy Bandcamp a long time ago? Actually, yeah, no, that's not news. In fact,
a long time ago. I'm thinking of.
No, the news was Bandcamp is. Wait, what did I read about that? Hold on, let me pull it up. Yeah, there's layoffs.
Wait, they sold Bandcamp?
They sold. Yeah, they acquired Bandcamp a while ago. They sold Bandcamp. That was not the
fuck.
The news is actually that they're getting rid of it amongst all the other things. So that was not a redirecting of funds; it was a liquidation.
Oh my god, I need to go because I remember. I'm gonna go have to find this fucking this article. There was something that they bought specifically to use in a lawsuit against Google. My brain told me it was Bandcamp.
Okay.
But I can't remember. I will now go find this.
Okay. Well, they're selling it after 18 months later from their acquisition of it. And, yeah, I don't know what other acquisition there was, but the editorial, design, support, and engineering staff teams unionized. Scrolling. Anyway, whatever. Yeah, I didn't hear anything else with that particular aspect of it. But hey, it seems as if the spark of the idea of a bunch of employees being like, "Hey, don't treat us like shit," is actually picking
here.
It
is
steam.
They bought Bandcamp back in 2022 specifically so that they could use it in their anti-Google lawsuit that they were having at the time with Fortnite, in which they were saying that Bandcamp having to switch their payment method would have bankrupted it, and so they bought it to use against them in that lawsuit, and then that lawsuit didn't go their way, so they sold it.
I see. Okay.
They bought it to fight Google.
Strategic acquisition. Yeah.
Then they lost, and then they sold it.
Yeah. Okay.
So that fucking company was like a pure bargaining chip.
Yeah, spite buy.
Man, Tim Sweeney is the dumbest motherfucker in the world. Oh my god.
Well, I mean, again, like, I think when the opening salvo is a giant public fucking in-game content, like, battle that is, like, a real legal thing that's happening that should probably be with lawyers in quiet boardrooms, but instead you're trying to galvanize the user base that are getting fucked by both sides to join your team for some reason because Fortnite's popular, and if we can convince everybody in Fortnite to be like, fuck Apple, that'll somehow sway public opinion, you know? Anyway.
Oh, hey, you know what? And before we go in, somebody in the chat asks a really great question.
Nicely
Are we going to get to the Gollum apology? Yeah, you know what? Sure, fuck it. You remember that Gollum game that was a fucking pile of shit? And then released an apology that was like, we're very sorry that we did bad Gollum game. That apology was written with ChatGPT, and no one on the staff knew about it.
I didn't see this. I did not see this. Okay, so the devs apologized for the game's underwhelming experience back in May. And what's this now? I mean, so this has been happening more and more because what the fuck was it? Um, there's that dude, that ball player. Um,
Pete Rose.
no. Was it Jalen Hurts? No. Anyway, the dude got in trouble for brandishing a gun and like
Fucking.
and then
Come on.
he keeps getting in trouble for doing stupid shit like that or whatever, and basically like he apologized to the NBA and like the apology was like Chat GPT fucking completely structured. Ja Morant, there you go. He it was just one of these things where they just straight up were just like, oh god, word for word, this was you found you found the exact prompt, you know. So this is becoming a thing, dude. Nicely fucking done.
I'm sorry.